Hi folks, we're on Scrap It Man's Ford Mondeo ST220 and he's got an engine management light up and it's indicating a P0443 code, which is a Purge Control System Circuit fault. We did reset the code, but it did come back. So what we've got is a new Purge Control Valve. We're going to be fitting that today and it should be pretty easy. So we'll see you in a minute. So the engine management light is on, and we've done a little bit of investigation on it, and we've first of all found out where the purge control valve is. Let me show you. So the purge control valve sits basically normally on this bracket here, although this one's dropped down. It's got a rubber body that sits around it, but you can see the rubber clippers are broken on this one. Normally that would sit on there like that. And it has an electrical connector to it. And there's two rubber hoses. One comes from the fuel tank, which brings the vapors in from the fuel tank. And the other hose, which you can see here, goes underneath here somewhere and jumps in onto the inlet manifold. And what that does, it basically sucks fumes out of the tank and basically burns them so that you actually burn the actual vapors from the tank as well. That's called the EVAP system. So cars with an EVAP system have a purge control valve, which monitors the amount of vapors that the engine burns at any given time, and that is done by the purge control valve. There are different faults that can come up with the purge control circuit. You've got P0441, P0442, P0443, P0444, P0445. They all indicate different types of faults, so depending on what code you've got will determine what type of fault you've got. We've got a P0443, which indicates a purge control circuit, which I think, by what I've seen online, means that there isn't a problem with the vacuum or the seals in the actual circuit. It's to do with more the electrical connection. The computer is not seeing the electrical circuit. That can be one due to dodgy connections, a broken cable, for example, or it can be something like a stuck valve, where although it's trying to operate the valve, it can be stuck. So that's possibly what the problem is in our case. We have taken the electrical connector off, looked at the connections on it, and they are clean. And we've also checked the positive supply to the control valve. We've got a positive supply to it when we turn the ignition on. The test which we can't do because we haven't got a meter able to check this is the negative cable which goes to the purge control valve. That is where it receives its signal from the computer, and you have to do a test on that where you put a terminal down to earth, down to a live point, and then down to the earth point on the terminal. You do a test on the meter and it increases the voltage, and you should see a little pulse come in, but we can't do that yet because we haven't got that gear. So we bought a new control valve anyway. We've looked at the vacuum hoses and there doesn't seem to be a problem with them, but we've got to take this valve out now. You've got the old one there, the new one there, Gary. This is the purge control valve for our car, and you can see it's just a simple two connection device which the plug just plugs on, and you have two hose connection points there. One comes from your fuel tank and the other one goes into your vent and sucks vacuum out from the inlet manifold. So this is what we're going to replace. Again, it can be a little bit awkward to get to, so what we're going to do, so I'm just going to try and remove this, get this out of the way first, this pipe here. And if it's got a little ring around it, if you just push down on that and then you lift the pipe out easy, so that little ring stays where it is. That gives us a bit more space. Now, although you can't see it, this is the electrical connection, which you just literally push in a little terminal there, and that pulls out. And as you can see, it's normally a little two-prong device. One will be a positive and the other one will be a negative, which comes from the computer where it receives its signal down the negative line. So you've got two hoses that connect underneath. The one right at the bottom is the one that goes down on your inlet manifold. And we've had this off before because they're normally crimped on there. That terminal there has got a crimp on it, which looks like a factory crimp to me. So that one we just want to be able to separate and lift off. So that's how I probably know that this clip hasn't been off before. So the one on the side is the one that goes to the fuel tank. So I'm just going to break the rubber seal around that. Hopefully it will come off. As I say, it's a bit tight getting in here. So there you go, there's the one on the side. That one, as I say, goes, you want to check these hoses just to make sure they're not split anyway or perished or whatever. and that goes right down the back there onto a pipe which goes to the fuel tank. And this one, the one on the bottom, is the one that connects up to the manifold, and this is what sucks, so you want a good vacuum on there to suck into the manifold so it burns the fumes. So let's pull that off of there. So there's our pipes. Again, they're quite awkward to get to and change, but you can actually see the condition of them. So this is the old solenoid valve. There's the new valve, pretty much the same. So I'm going to put that down there. I'm going to get that one and put it back in the clip. So as I said to you, I've already checked the positive cable there, but I can't check the negative because I haven't got a meter to be able to do that, because it should pulse a feed to the solenoid. And because it's a P0443 valve, it's to do with possibly, so they say, what I've read so far on the internet, is that it's to do with the electrical circuit. The computer isn't seeing the electrical side of the circuit, and that may be because that this solenoid is actually stuck and it's not actually moving. The vacuum pipe should be okay, because if it was a P0442, for example, that indicates a leak on the system somewhere, or even a P0441 up to a P0445. So depending on you, but for the 443, it looks like it's going to be this solenoid valve. Right, now, because I haven't got them compression clips like this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a pair of smaller Jubilee clips and create the seal around the pipe. So I'm going to go and get a couple of them, and I'll see you in a second. Right, let's just put these Jubilee clips on. It's a little bit awkward to get to, but it is manageable once that other pipe's out of the way, which I've disconnected at the front, as I showed you. So make sure they're pushed well home. Again, it's not too difficult, and it could save you a lot of money by doing it yourself rather than taking it to a garage, in which you'll be paying probably £90 an hour for someone to do this, plus the part. And there's the electrical connector, which just clips on there, like that. As I say, do check your electrical connection first, because it probably is an electrical connection. It's basically the computer not seeing the electrical feed, so it might not be operating in there. We'll put this back in. That's got nothing to do with it, by the way, but we just took that out to get more space. Right, okay then. That's the purge control valve actually changed now. So what we'll have to do is to reset it on the computer, or to reset the fault code. And lucky enough, I've got a laptop here with diagnostic software on it. So we'll connect that up now, we'll see the fault code, we'll reset it, and then we'll take it around the block and see if the fault light comes back up. Right, there's a host of different scan tools you can use. We've got this ELM 327 with the side switch on for the MS CAN and HS CAN. It's Ford cars basically, and you plug that into your OBD2 tester, which on the Ford Mondeo Mk3 is down there. You just pull it down, as you can see, brings it down, and then just plug the diagnostic tester in. And on the other end of that lead, you've got a USB cable which plugs directly into your laptop. So on our PC, we've got the 4Scan software. It's actually free to download, I think, if I remember rightly, and install it on your PC. So I'm just going to activate that. Right, so we're in the software now, and down here are your connect options. So I'm going to click connect. Right, okay then, so it's done its initial checks, and so let me just go to where it says DTCs there, read DTC codes. And as you can see, we've got our P0443, which is a purge valve circuit fault. So we're going to try and reset this now. And that means going down to that little symbol down the bottom there, the triangle, and reset the DTCs. Because at the moment, we've still got our engine management light on there, as you can see. So I'm going to press reset now, and then just try and start the car up. So we've actually reset the light now. It's gone off. It did that before, so it did come back on as soon as we went for a drive. So we're going to take it for a little drive around now and just see exactly what's occurring, whether or not we've actually cured the problem. So as you can see there now, we've got success, no error codes found. Right, so let's give it a go around the block, see what happens. Code's not on at the moment. We've got no engine management light up, so hopefully this should cure the purge control valve fault code and it won't come back. So when we last reset the code, you drove it in there. When did it come back on?
When I left your house again.
Right, so if it was going to come on, it will come on pretty shortly.
Should do, yeah.
Because it had this fault code up on it when we actually bought the car, and the chap said it was a purge control valve.
He said the purge control valve was fine because he took it to Ford and they tested that valve that we just took off and said the valve was fine.
Right, well, we disagreed with that because when we looked at the purge control valve, it didn't look like it had been removed because it had the original factory clip on there, didn't it?
Yeah.
So we don't think that it's actually been checked properly. And the purge control valve, as you probably will know now if you've done a bit of investigation, is to do with the EVAP system, which recycles the vent gases in the tank and burns them in the inlet manifold via the purge control valve. Right, it didn't come on our little drive what we had, so we've stopped the car. We've had a 15-minute break, and he said the last time it come on again after a break, didn't it?
Yes.
So we're going to try it now. We're going to drive away now, see if it comes back on.
It's gone off again.
There we go, it's gone off again. We're going to take it yet again for another little test drive. Okay, there we go. It seems to be absolutely fine. It would have come on by now if we would have had the same problem again. So there you go, a P0443 fault code on the EVAP system on this Ford Mondeo ST220. The engine management light come on due to a faulty purge control valve, and we've replaced that. We did check the electrical supply feed to it. It seems to be a electrical circuit fault as opposed to a vacuum fault. We did actually check the vacuum. I bought a vacuum gauge and checked the manifold spout, the one that comes to the goes to the manifold, and it held a vacuum. So it definitely wasn't nothing to do with a vacuum. And the bloke did say, as I say, he took it to a Ford garage, and by looking at the hoses, the intake one from the fuel pipe had, or the fuel vent rather, had the original Ford clip on it, but the one that went to the manifold, it looks like that clip was missing, and it looks like the Ford garage who he took it to disconnected that and then done the same vacuum test. But in this case, they said that the actual valve was working fine because it was holding the vacuum. It isn't a vacuum problem, a P0443 by the looks of it. It is an electrical connection that the computer is not registering that the valve is operating correctly, which 9 times out of 10 by the looks of it seems like it could be a stuck valve. If it was stuck in the open position, that would bring up a different fault code. If it was stuck in the closed position, that could bring up a different fault code again. If there was a leak in the EVAP system somewhere, a large leak or a small leak, that again brings up a different PO fault code. So depending on your code will depend on what the issue is. And it looks like the P0443 seems like that the valve is not being communicated to the computer, possibly because it's stuck. Anyway, thanks very much. Hope you've enjoyed this little video. Hope it was enlightening. He's saved himself a £90 fee by taking it into a garage for a day.
Oh, yes.
By taking it into a garage. And also, how much you pay for that valve?
27 quid from Germany.
£27 from Germany. He bought it from Germany. It come within about 4 days.
3 days it was there.
3 days, there you go. So that's how we've sorted this problem out on the purge control valve, and there you go, sorted. So if you want to see any more Mondeo ST220 videos or other Mark III Mondeo videos, I do have a playlist of Mondeo Mark III videos, and we've also got a playlist for the Mondeo ST220. So anyway, thanks very much. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, set your preferences to all, and that way you get notified every time I upload a video. Thanks very much. See you in the next video. Until then, bye for now.